I'm just reading some about more and more. This is quite a good piece about. It's all like the different kind of peculiar or weird pleas or claims you can have through the courts, like habeas corpus, but all different. There's lots of different ones, and all the different procedures, from trial by combat or trial by ordeal, but all sort of. This is kind of like putting everything together in context of, like the jurors and, the right to petition and the writ of, 12 people and or appealing to the king and various things. But here, right, this has just really got an interesting context because can you remember that, okay, so it's meant to be like, it's meant to be illegal to, plan to overthrow the government or the king even. The Privy Council aren't even allowed to think or understand anything bad that the king could do, right? Which I think is, if that ain't Faulty Towers, I don't know what is. There's lots of cases I've been reading currently at the moment where there's loads of people claiming against the police, and in a lot of instances they win and get money back. But the police don't seem to like to want to prosecute themselves or each other. That seems the thing. Since Robert Peel invented the Met Police and then, Parliament burned down, as the police have been surmounting and getting to a bigger force, it seems that they're quite a tough wrestle match. I mean, I gathered a lot of evidence, which is what you want. You want the evidence. But getting actions against the police is not an easy thing unless you get a lawyer, a prosecutor. Some people don't have enough money for it. I've just been reading about a guy. He's got his own Facebook group, and it's all about corrupt police. Ironically, you'd have thought that that's something that I'd have been interested in, but I've been focusing mainly on the roads and highways, and then I got on to doing rights, because you need to be able to use rights, and then we get into like corrupt councils and governments, and it seems that through that time, a lot of other people have been really getting into this subject and topic, and I found that quite a lot of people have been challenging the police, and they're quite a tough cookie, quite an arm wrestler really, and some people end up really, really wrestling with them, but are a lot more capable and adept than I am, and they actually end up getting money or compensation, or even like get things like judicial reviews or other certain actions from certain complaint authorities approved. But what they don't seem to be able to do is actually get the police to kind of prosecute the police. I know that some people do, but it seems that that's the main thing. There's a lot of withholding of evidence, or the police, not wanting people to have evidence what will actually get the police prosecuted, particularly like when it comes down to more serious things. Are the police actually here, organised crime, if they're perverting the course of justice and so forth? If you've got something like the police force, right, and it is not doing things right and covering it up, you've got a situation where you seriously get into higher level crimes like racketeering and perverting the course of justice. If it's actually the institution itself that is corrupted, rather than people resigning and losing their jobs, throughout all those charters of England, apparently, as citizens of the realm, everyone's answerable to the law equally, whether they're a mayor or the police or a judge or a recorder for the local area, except Parliament and the House of Lords and so forth has got a higher jurisdiction, which is separate and different, a different peerage. But as for the mayor, is within the same peerage as the police and the local people, right? And the thing is that I think the police are now not accountable like they used to be when there was just sheriff constables, and then they use these trained bands, but the trained bands weren't the sheriff or the constable, and there was a lot of civilians bringing charges themselves, prosecuting or getting a lawyer to prosecute. Now it's all dealt with by the police. The police, because they direct and process all the prosecutions to the CPS, we don't really have... they've got a monopoly, basically. I think the word's monopoly or you could call it racketeering, but it's quite evident now that I think that the police are, it's got a system of, their job is to break the law. And when their job is getting people in prison and criminals, and they're the heroes and they're getting awards and badges and like a military rank, the last thing they want to do is like get labelled as a criminal or have to do time. It's the ultimate shame, and I think there's a resistance to it, an opposition to it. I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of police officers who are what we call good people, or but there definitely is, they're gang leaders in there, and there's a certain sinister side to it, regardless of any individual particular police officer who might be an innocent individual. I also find the model and basis that, I've seen some police officers talk about, this is, that they're accusing people of harassment, intimidation, and other things. The guy, that Matthew Randolph, who's going for Gloucestershire Police and Crime Commissioner, he was in a public meeting with the council. When you want, it's like Parliament. You have to be fully represent your character and strength of argument. But this police officer were saying that he was disrupting a meeting. That Public Meetings Act, right? You only break the act if you're preventing other people from transacting or participating, right? There's nothing in the act to do with harassment or intimidation or anything like that, and what constitutes to it or not. Under law, right? What's ironic is the whole philosophy and design of the police, right, is that when the police officer's present, they command this authority, or they command this, the force, the presence. There's a lot of writings about this, they want, even though there's a football match on and there might not necessarily be any trouble, they have police officers all around the town centre just so they put this, there's a presence there, on these big police horses, this commanding presence. There's not been any crime committed. No one's actually committed any offences. There's just going to be a lot of people, right? But this presence, they do that at Stonehenge. It's meant to be a happy festival of peace. And then they have vans and vans and vans of people with loads of police officers hanging around. That's actually intimidation. The last time I went to Stonehenge, I haven't been for a while, they had this police presence there, and there was hundreds and hundreds of them all in vans parked up, and it really was dampening the spirit of the festival. I think that's intimidation. The presence of them is there to intimidate. Now, they will say, it's to enforce the law, get people to comply and abide with the law, but through what? Through fear and intimidation. Right? But what law is, if no one's suspected of the law, then what is that? Now, you could say, well, we won't have any police there. What we'll do is have loads of signs everywhere, right? Say it's a festival of peace, right? But yet then someone goes and surrounds the whole site in signs that say, no smoking, do not harass anyone, do not intimidate. You could have a list of laws all on placards. What would you think if the police turned up, right, like a protest group with placards instead of they ditched their handcuffs, right, and they all had placards saying no smoking, or do not smoke, or whatever, or just loads of signs, right? Saying do not do this, do not do that, do not do that. You could say, yeah, well, all those things are the law, and you're not supposed to do them anyway. But at what point? You see, the police need to understand this, right? If Joe Bloggs is walking around, right, a supermarket, and he just walks up to someone, right, and goes, don't smoke in here, and the person is not smoking, right, then they'll go, just a minute, mate, I don't smoke, I ain't got any. And you say, well, yeah, but don't smoke, mate, all right? You get what I mean, don't you? Don't smoke. I know, but I'm not smoking and I ain't got any cigarettes. right? So if someone kept walking up to him and going, here, mate, don't smoke in here, and you're like, you didn't have any cigarettes and you don't smoke, you don't, just a minute. No, I'm warning you. I'm just telling you, don't steal out from here. Don't steal out from here, don't steal out. If you were like walking like around the supermarket and people just kept coming up to you or holding signs going, don't steal, right? But like, you'd just be like, just a minute, I actually do it wrong. It'd be a bit intimidating, right? It'd be kind of like intimidating, right? So if you're at Stonehenge, right, and you're all just dancing, right, and no one's done it wrong, and then there were a lot of police there with signs going, don't take drugs or don't smoke or don't do this or don't do that, right? And say, like, no one is. But then they started walking around, like if you're in a nightclub or whatever, and then they're like walking up to you going, here, mate, don't take no drugs in here, mate. But you haven't got any, right? And he says, no, don't. And I say, yeah, all right. Got any drugs? You're all right. And then, like, you walk up to the bar, and then you're asking for a drink, and then someone at the bar is like at side of you, like, some Crown prosecutor, like on his, Roy from CPS, going, here, I had to break someone down in court and destroy him today, mate. Here, you better not be drinking underage. I'm old enough. Well, have you got any ID? Yeah, I just showed it to the bartender. Yeah, but don't drink underage. Yeah, mate, I get it. So you can intimidate someone, right, by threatening them that if they break the law, but if they haven't broke the law, they haven't actually done it wrong. So what you're actually doing is you're threatening people with legal consequences if they break the law when they're not suspected of a crime and haven't done it. So that's actually intimidating. Now, if you've got a whole force of people doing that and the whole design, let's just get this clear, right? There wasn't a police force before Sir Robert Peel, right? People enforce the law themselves, except for, you got your sheriff and constables, but they had these trained bands, but they weren't the police. They were kind of like just to help the sheriff out or whatever. But a lot of people took people to the sheriff, or got lawyers to prosecute. There's some stories in this, right? There's some stories in this about people getting prosecuted twice. They might get prosecuted by a jury, but then they might end up, the victim might end up getting them prosecuted at the assizes or whatever, themselves. So, now the thing is, if you've got this group and they're the ones prosecuting everyone and doing everyone, like they're the ones who are banging everyone up in prison and getting everyone arrested, and they're the ones that are dragging people through, they're the ones in control of it. Now, when you're not in control of that, right, and when you're the one running it, the last thing you want is, someone else to be running it against you, particularly when they're getting all these, you're good, what you're doing is good, right? The last thing because, these people, are meant to be heroes, and when they're not, they don't like it. They've got an aversion to it, so to say, like actually an aversion, like an avoidance to it. Not just an avoidance like, someone walking up a street so you walk down the other street, like criminal aversions to it. Like they pervert the course of justice in order to, keep themselves out of trouble if they're above the law. Now, if you're breaking the law on a daily basis, because the law says you can break doors down, kick doors in, break the speed limit and so forth, even though everything's recorded, they've got a monopoly on the evidence as well, apparently, so I've just read. So I don't think... The thing with the law is we're not that far really in terms of, like conquest up till 1800, like 1,800 years. On 1066 is like, 1,000. So like, and 1,020 years after the conquest. And we're still doing like trial by combat and various other things, and people bringing their own suits. It's only since like 1830s where we've got a proper police force. I don't think it's worked out right that good, because they've got a monopoly on crime and justice, right? And because they've got their monopoly. They're the dealer, right? And they don't like it. Well, it's the monopoly is corrupt, and the problem is the police are an institution of rank and file. Now, if you've got the public prosecuting and you've just got independent lawyers, like would be independent politicians, not like a political party, like you get independent MPs, right? If you've got a lot of independent MPs who aren't affiliated to a party, right, then you don't have that problem with, councillors helping them out, or, which I'm reporting now, councillors helping unlawfully, to give a hand up onto the scaffolding, like give us a pull up into the council, like, lend a hand. It's illegal for the council to help, or the government to help candidates get into government, right? You can't use the government or council to get in. So only their political party headquarters and volunteers can help them, not actually people who are already in the council. So independent candidates can't really break the law or get any help from the council or government. It's a little bit like with prosecutions, really. All the prosecutions are being dealt with by one party. So before that, everyone was doing it independently, and you just get a lawyer, right, even probably to prosecute. So, you could get a defence lawyer or a prosecutor. And then it's all independent, like, Party A and Party B. Now, what happens with the police and the CPS when you get this, when they're set up as an institution, is they have become a party. Now, they claim that they're representing the public, right, in individual or in the public interest. But what happens when the public interest is to not have a corrupt police force? Then you've got this problem, because if all of the public suddenly decide the police are not that good, then they're in opposition to them. But the police don't even want that to exist. They don't want even that to. They don't want it to be an issue. And that's the thing with the Theresa May speech at that police federation. Well, she made it, and I think that you've got problems, because the problem is, in that situation, you've got an armed force with equipment, a network, radios, backup, connections to government, MPs, mayors, ministers, and potentially, military. And they believe also they've got like an invisible support unit, that's conjuring up things from behind the scenes. So, like alcohol as well, what's getting most people into trouble, let's not forget that. You got issues. And the thing is that since I've learned about this Privy Council thing with Charles, it's almost like, the Faulty Towers, the hardcore of the government, apparently they're like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil of, the supreme ruler. So they can't, it's like, you got a motherboard with like a fucking central microprocessor, which cannot itself deem to be the fault. So how can you fix a machine where there's a problem? What the machine says there isn't a problem. What problem? There is no problem. No problems here, right? Then you've got a problem. I've just seen a picture of Elon Musk actually earlier pop up on my computer screen with his son. So, I would say to Elon Musk, if he designs a machine where the central microchip can never be blamed for any faults, but you got faults, and he's not even allowed to acknowledge or interpret a fault. What do you do? How can you fix it? You can only fix it from outside of the machine, But the worst thing is, we're all allowed to see the fault. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes, isn't it? It really is rather ridiculous. I mean, how can you have, the Archbishop of Canterbury of all people, who's meant to be spiritual, and Supreme Emperor of Facebook, Sir Nick Clegg, and then, Lord Chief Justice, who's meant to be in charge of justice, all like freaking... It's like those red Imperial stormtroopers, isn't it? Those red ones on Star Wars, or the Emperor. It's like... it's rather ridiculous. Even that they had a television program called Faulty Towers, it's rather ridiculous that they are actually the ones making... And the thing is, a lot of the time, right? There isn't even anything. We're not doing anything illegal until they decide that it's illegal, right? So you can't say this. You can't. They're knocking these laws out of government, right? And now you're bad people. It's like they're actually like designing us to be bad by all the rules they're knocking out. Yeah, apparently, they can't even perceive when they're bad. It's like called blind man's bluff, isn't it? But apparently, us. We can see it, but they can't. You really have got something ridiculous set up when your whole country. It's like Republic turning up, shouting "Not my king." Well, these, it's not illegal to not have allegiance to the king. But this is what I'm getting at. In fact, I've been talking half an hour now, and this video, the thing about this. The thing I wanted to mention about these words here that I've got up on the screen, and I've been talking for half an hour now, is that I've just said it's like, like speaking treasonous words or whatever. So it's not illegal to not have an allegiance to the king, right? And apparently you can petition the king in all grievances. So you're allowed to, in law, complain to the king or about the king, right? So you're legally allowed to complain about the king, and you can see it if he's done anything wrong, but his Privy Council can't see it. Now, if he couldn't see it as well, that would be something. I mean, I'm starting to see like a trend catching on set from the Privy Council that extends to, like Keir Starmer, right on Keir Starmer's in there. All the leaders of the political parties, Ed Davey. Now, if let's say that, Charles's secret will contains the key to blotter up Vanguard and the whole food empire that's been secretly bought up. For example, if he were responsible for the health, diabetes, cancer results of the food empire and the rest of it. Now, if that problem needs solving, a man of charity giving money to Oxfam and so forth, cancer research. If you can't solve that, if you're the one who's been, buying up all the businesses and taking ownership of them all secretly or whatever, whoever it is, if your country is ill, and you're causing it, but you can't see that or conceive of it or imagine it or understand it, and neither can your Privy Council, and it happens to be a Prime Minister of the country you voted for, and the leader of the opposition who's meant to be holding them to account can't see it because they've taken an oath to not conceive of it, then you got a problem. And then why would you have a right to petition the government about it freely, about any grievance, if they can't see the grievance or understand it? It would be like going to school, right? No wonder it's called a blackboard at school, right? So, teacher, no, he's the one who's teaching me the maths, right? I've identified a problem, teacher, and I've got the right to, complain. I'll draw this on the blackboard for you, teacher. Here we have, here's an equation for you. Charles, corrupt, food empire, franchises, buying up the whole world, Bill Gates, equals evil. How's that, sir? I'm sorry, I don't understand this. You're teaching me. Am I teaching you maths, or are you teaching me maths here? No, I can't understand that. Well, no, the teacher's supposed to understand maths, It's like, Professor, get me a professor. Professor, look, I've drawn this equation here on the blackboard, but the teacher can't understand it. Could you give him a hand, please? Yes, I'm the most academically qualified mathematician in England. Well, can you understand this? No. Well, and what are you doing tomorrow? I'm building a spaceship, Well, I hope the spaceship's not called Charles, because if there's a fault with that, you're fucked, I know, it's like Bill Gates. Fuck me. What happens if it's Jeff Bezos? What happens if he calls his next fucking rocket ship Charles the fucking Third? No wonder it's called Faulty Towers. Fuck me, you don't want to fault with that if no one can fucking work it out. There's no fault with this rocket ship. Well, that's probably what happened to the Chinese when they launched that missile and it just exploded. There's no fault here. It's just, it's the will of God, or it's just a glitch. That's what it is, a glitch. It's a glitch, you know. Now, the chain signals went in India and 250 people died, you know, or, you know, mysteriously someone crashed into a school at Wimbledon, you know. I think it's the glitch in the system. There is no glitch. You shall not see the glitch. Understand the... No, there's always going to be a glitch then, you know. This is it. You know, so but you're allowed to overthrow. It's a criminal offence to plan to or attempt to overthrow the monarchy or the government, but you're allowed to complain about it. Is that right, officer? It says here, I have the right to make any complaint or grievance to the king. Your Majesty, you're at fault. There is no fault. There is no fault. Yes, but look, I was going to press the button on the vending machine. Where's my fucking drink? It's not working. What fault? There's no fault. Why can't I get the fucking drink out of it then? You know? That's not a fault. Well, how is it supposed to work then? You know? Well, it's not supposed to work. You know? I won't mind, but it's clearly evident this has been joked about forever. You know? How can you take a prime minister seriously, right? Who has sworn an oath that I shall not see any fault. You shall not know the fault, see the fault, comprehend the fault, or speak of the fault. You know? It's just the man I want in government. You know? Doesn't matter who you elect. Doesn't matter who wins the election now. They'll be sworn in. You know, the right honourable Ed Davey MP, you know, come on then, where's the ball in the cup, you know, who do you want to win this next election, you know, do you want to be, could it be Keir Starmer, you know, or maybe Rishi Sunak, or Ed Davey, you know, where's the cup on the ball, you know, well, it doesn't matter who wins, we'll really make a change, you know, I'll fix the fault. What fault? You know, whoever shall be the Prime Minister of all England shall not see the fault, smell the fault, touch the fault, or understand the fault. Someone get me a repairman. It is the right of the repairman to petition the fridge to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with the fridge. Fucking hell, you know. No wonder people emigrated to fucking Australia. Fuck me. Look at South America. They all dropped down dead. Fucking 90% of them. That'll be happening to us soon when they when we all go fucking cyborg. It's like fucking Stepford Wives, isn't it, or something? I hope Jeff Bezos doesn't name his fucking rocket ship Charles the fucking Third, for fuck's sake. I don't think Richard Branson would just fucking sit, you know, would want to fucking... Who would want to fucking name the ship Charles the Third? No wonder the Titanic fucking sank. Fuck me. It's a good job that we've got the right to fucking complain about it, though. You know? It's like, you know... You speak to the hand because my face ain't listening. You have got the right to speak to my hand, but the face ain't fucking listening. Fucking hell. No, when you slap it around the face with a fucking glove, it's like... I wonder if you're allowed to slap Charles around the face with a glove, cast it on the floor, or if that's like, you know, drawing arms against the king. You're not allowed to draw arms against the king. That's my hand. That's not my arm. There's no fucking arm attached to it. That's an empty glove. You know? Officer, you're drawing arms against the king. No, sir, it's my glove. There's no arm attached to it. Fucking, no wonder they threw an egg at him. You know? That's not arms. It's an egg. It's come out of the backside of a chicken. That's not an arm. Are you armed? That's an egg. It's come out of the backside of a chicken. dear. Oh dear. We're in trouble. I think we need some smelling salts in this government. There's got to be some kind of fucking United Nations or fucking NATO directive over faulty governments for sure. No matter what supreme fucking being there is on the planet. Fucking hell. If Robert F. Kennedy Jr. didn't fucking win this fucking US presidential election, we're all fucked. We've only got fucking Ming the Merciless left to fucking rely on, and they're all under fucking social point system now. They're not allowed to petition. If they lose points, they can't complain to the government. They fucking lose points. They lose social points. Fucking hell. For fuck's sake. We're fucked.